Good day, everyone. My name is Ninjiro Mesa, and good day, Miss. I'm here to discuss about Lesson 5 Theories of Global Stratification. Now, what is global stratification? Global stratification refers to the hierarchical arrangement of individuals and groups in a society around the world. Then, global inequality refers to the unequal distribution of resources among individuals and groups based on their position in the hierarchy. Now, when we say hierarchical, it means from high class to low class. Then, the first theory is modernization theory. This theory frames global stratification as a function of technological and cultural differences between nations. The two historical events that contributed to the Western Europe developing at a fastest rate than much the rest of the world. The first one is the Columbian Exchange. Refers to the spread of goods, technology, education, and at the same time diseases between America and Europe after Christopher Columbus' so-called discovery of Americas. This exchange worked out well for the European countries. They gained agricultural staples like potatoes and tomatoes, which contributed to population growth and provided new opportunities for trade while also strengthening the power of the merchant class. The Columbian Exchange worked out much less well, however, for Native Americans whose population were ravaged by the diseases brought from Europe. It is estimated that in the 150 years following Columbus's first trip, over 80% of the Native American population died due to diseases such as smallpox and measles. Now, this is the illustration of the Columbian Exchange. The number two, we have Industrial Revolution. This is when new technologies like steam power and mechanization allowed countries to replace human labor with machines and increase productivity. The Industrial Revolution at first only benefited the wealthy in Western countries. Was very productive that it gradually began to improve standards of living for everyone. Countries that industrialized in the 18th and 19th centuries saw massive improvements in their standards of living, and countries that did not industrialize lagged behind. Then we have the Rostow's four stages of modernization. So the first stage is traditional stage. This refers to societies that are structured around small local communities with production typically being done in a family settings. Like for example, feudal Europe on early Chinese dynasties, where tradition rules how a society functions. Like what your parents do is what their parents did, and what you will do when you grow up to. The number two, we have the takeoff stage. People begin to use their individual talents to produce things beyond necessities. So in this stage, we have innovation creates new market for trades. In turn, greater individualism takes hold and social status is more closely linked with material wealth. The number three, we have technological maturity, in which technological growth of the earlier periods begin to bear fruits in the form of population growth, reductions in absolute poverty levels, and more diverse job opportunities. So in this stage, it's like it has been modernized. And nations in this phase typically begin to push for social change along with economic change, like implementing basic schooling for everyone and developing more democratic political system. And the last stage we have high mass consumption. It is when your country is big enough that production begins more about wants than needs. Many of these countries put social support system in place to ensure that all of their citizens have access to basic necessities. So, in the fourth stage, it's not just the needs that the country can produce, but also the desires and wants that they need. So, I guess my report is done, and Mr. Cartesiano will continue. So,
Everyone, as a continuation of discussion of Mr. Mesa, we have the dependency theory and the Latin American experience. Starting in the 1500s, European explorers spread throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, claiming land for Europe. At one point, the British covered about one-fourth of the world. The United States, which began as colonies, soon sprawled out, though the North America and took control of Haiti, Puerto Rico, Guam, the Philippines, the Hawaiian Islands, and a part of the Panama and Cuba. With the colonialism came the exploitation of both natural and human resources. The transatlantic slave trade followed a triangular route between Africa, the America, and Caribbean colonies and Europe. Guns and factory made goods were sent to Africa in exchange for slaves, who were sent to the colonies to produce goods like cotton and tobacco, which were then sent back to Europe. As the slave trade died down in the mid 19th century, the point of colonialism came to be less about human resources and more about natural resources. However, the colonial model kept going strong. In 1970, only 10% of Africa was colonized. By 1940, only Ethiopia and Liberia were not colonized. Under colonial, European countries took control of land and raw materials to funnel wealth back to the West. Was initially developed by Hans Singer and Roll Privilege in the 1950s and has been improved since then. The two sub-theories are the North American neo-Marxist approach and the Latin American structuralist approach, Sanchez 2014. The term core nations and peripheral nations are the heart of dependency theory. Peripheral nations are countries that are less developed and receive an unequal distribution of the world's wealth. And core countries are more industrialized nations who receive the majority of the world's wealth. Although generally divided into core or peripheral, dependency theories recognize that there are a number of different kinds of states in the world. Another common assumption of the theory is that even after decolonization, there are still important ties between the developed and less developed countries, which mainly consist in the exploitation exploitation of peripheral natural resources and workforce by the center. Next, we have the modern world system. This historical colonialism inspired American sociologist Emmanuel Wallerstein described high income nation as the core of the world economy. Wallerstein described high income nation as the core of the world economy. This core is the manufacturing base, the planner, where resources funnel into become the technology and the wealth enjoyed by the Western world today. Low income countries, meanwhile, are the Wallerstein called the periphery, periphery, whose natural resources and labor support the wealthier countries first as colonies and now by working for multinational corporations under neocolonialism. Middle income countries such as India or Brazil are considered the semi-periphery due to their closer ties to the global economic core. And that's all. Thank you.